Alright, next episode of Nightmare Room. No, Haunting Hour. We'll get to the Nightmare Room eventually. The Haunting Hour is called Alien Candy. Now, like I said, I'm not doing every episode, just the one about to me. So there's this one, and there's one after this I'll be doing it, and I think it's a couple episode breaks before I get to it. And to stretch it out a little bit more, I'm also watching reviews from a guy on YouTube that are usually 35 to 40 minutes long, depending on, how long he gives his analysis. So they're also going to stretch it out throughout the day and stuff. So, Alien Candy stars Grayson Russell, who you may know as Freckly from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. And that's not the only Diary of a Wimpy Kid star. To be honest, we'll get to that on the show when we get to that. He plays Walt. He and his friend Tim are alien enthusiasts. They love aliens, and they have this book on aliens. And of course, Walt is picked on by bullies because that's the stereotype we gotta do in these kids shows. Bullies! That's... I watched a lot of kids shows growing up, and even as an adult, stuff I watch with my kids. And bullies is the most overused stereotype in kids shows and in kids movies. Is there's got to be a bully somewhere. Like Shazam has a bully. This show has a bully. And the one trope you can always count on with bullying storylines is that they always have not only the bully, but the person being bullied gets punished. And that never makes any sense to me. Now, certain versions where the bullied kid fights back and it causes problems, I get. But here, Walt is just pushed into a cart full of chicken nuggets. And the lunch lady freaks out and punishes both of them. And I find it absolutely stupid because she was right there and she clearly saw the bully push the kid into it. Which means that the bully's at fault, not the fucking kid who was pushed into the tray, lady. And the only thing I can think of that really doesn't make any sense as to why he got punished as well is so that Greg and Bonnie, these two strange kids, come to talk to him and give him his book back at this point. Why couldn't they do that on regular school hours? Why'd it have to be when he's taking trash? Because the punishment is to take trash out after school. Even though it's clearly not after school because, one, bully's friend is around. There's still kids going to their lockers. How is that after school? Who wrote this scene? It's like, okay, we gotta have kids going to their lockers. And the bully's friend is there. And the bully somehow plays football, but looks nothing like a football jock bully. He's kind of, not chunky, but I don't know. But it's a bully, so he has to play football. And this bully blames Walt for him getting in trouble with the coach, but not, with football and stuff. And Walt even calls him out and says, well, if you didn't pick on people, you wouldn't be in this situation. Which is true. If you didn't push Walt, he wouldn't, So why blame Walt for something? I know it's a bully. He's going to blame other people. I get it. But the bully and the bully thing doesn't fit in this episode. It doesn't. Maybe at the beginning, sure. But they stick it in the middle of the episode. They stick the one little scene we'll get to in the middle of the episode that kind of brings the stuff to the halt for a second. It just doesn't make any sense. So Greg and Bonnie, these strange kids at the school, are talking to Walt. And before I continue, I want to mention there are a few things that they say at the beginning of this episode that are foreshadowed. One, Walt dyed his hair. He used to be a redhead, dyed his hair so that he could be Han Solo for Halloween. Two, the lunch lady really loves her chicken nuggets, and they're like, I think, the prized food of the cafeteria. Those are two things you gotta remember. Because they deal into what happens towards the end of the episode, and really gross part of it. Anyway, so Greg and Bonnie walk up to him, and because he's obsessed with aliens, apparently he qualifies for some club that they're in. It's a secret club. He can't tell anyone, and they give him this alien candy. There's the name of the episode. This blue jelly bean like stuff. They say only he can eat it. It's just for him. It's an experiment that makes him smarter, I guess. And he's eating it constantly throughout the day and the next day and stuff. And then that night, Greg and Mindy keep talking to him. And this goes over a couple days. Just remember this. He eats these jelly beans over the next couple days. Somehow doesn't run out of them, even though it's not that big of a bag full. It's like maybe 1/4 to a half a bag full of this alien candy. And it takes over the course of 2 days at least, because he starts eating it one day and he talks to his friend one night. And his friend wants to be included, but he tells them there's a club, but he doesn't tell them what the club's about. And Greg and Bonnie still freak out on him, and it's like, but he didn't say anything. He just said he was in the club. He didn't say what it was about, so he didn't break your precious little rules. And this scene was edited in because it needed to, I think, set up what happens towards the end. So when he tells him about Tim and that he likes aliens and everything, and well, my question is, why do they have to like aliens? Is that just a way of, I don't know. So one night, Walt is sleeping in his bed, and the two friends show up in his room. And right away, he doesn't question. He's like, "Oh, hey, whoa, what's up?" He's all weirded out by the candy or whatever. By the way, one thing they never explained with this candy is why they have to keep drinking water. Like, it's shown that Walt gets very thirsty for water while he's eating these jelly beans. But they don't explain why. Like, at all. Like, I don't get it. Even, so, they decide to use this weird little glowy thing, and they subdue him and puts him, to sleep and stuff. And they take some blood, they draw it out of him, and they do a test on it. And they say that he is eligible for digestion. So they go to eat him, they bite off his pinky toe, and then I think it's Greg realizes, they're turning to aliens by this point, but Greg realizes that he used to be a redhead, and they're allergic to redheads. Which is an excuse to keep the episode going, but who knows? They're allergic to redheads. I wish I was. I would have avoided my ex. Anyway, of course then I wouldn't have my son. But that's two things. I don't know. Anyway, where was I? So they're allergic to redheads. So then Walt wakes up the next day, and he's got his socks on, and so he thinks he's okay. And then we're showing that Greg and Bonnie have moved on to Tim to be their food. And so Greg, they're afraid Greg's gonna say something, and once he realizes what, because he thinks it's a dream right now. So once he realizes, because he goes into the locker room, he takes his shoe off, and he notices that his foot is missing, and the bully shows up, and he's like, "Stop screaming, you four-toed freak!" I'm just like. I mean, he seems a little put off by it, but other than that, he's like, "Stop screaming, you four-toed freak." Just like, really? I know you're a bully, it was like, stone cold, hard, but still, dude's missing a toe. And obviously, it's not normal to him if the kid's freaking out. So, as he is running out of the locker room, Walt, he gets confronted by Bonnie, who tells him they not to say anything or they'll come after him, basically. And then he starts to run, and then he gets grabbed by a sheet and thrown in a dumpster by the bully, who then proceeds to lock him in the dumpster with some weird chain thing. This is where I was like, really? Did we really need the bullies to show up again here? It makes no sense. Yes, there's that thing in the locker room, but it's that kind of thing I do sometimes. Where it's just, when I watch a movie, where it's just like, why did the bullies even need to exist after that first scene that happened? Like, the bullies were not necessary after that initial scene where they get in trouble. If all the bullies was just to lead to him meeting Greg and Bonnie, then they weren't needed for the rest of the episode. But you shoved them in there, and it makes no sense to me, because the bullies, like, if there was one scene to insert them in, they should have been at the end of the episode, because what it should have been was that Walt learns to stand up to bullies by fighting off the aliens. And so he's not afraid of the bullies anymore, he doesn't take any of their shit, and that should have been the lesson. But no, you shove them in here, and yeah, they're at the end, but it's nothing substantial. You shove them in here, and they're still bullying him, and it's just to pad out time so that we can then show that they have Walt, and they're going to eat him. Even though he has not been taking that candy for as long as Walt did. Walt had been taking them for at least 2 days before they went to eat him. Here, he had just started eating them. He had to have. They show him with the candy that day. And, don't tell Walt, it's a secret. There's no way he could be ready enough. I understand they're hungry and they're getting desperate, but there's no way. And I guess that makes sense why he's not under the transfer as long as Walt was. And so we get to our climax in the kitchen, in the cafeteria at the school, where they realize that salt can harm them, because apparently their skin is just like slugs and frogs, where if you throw salt, it'll dry them out. And is that supposed to... Because then even Tim says, do you have any water? Because maybe that's supposed to lead into the drying out. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know how to connect the water to it. But anyway, throw the salt on Bonnie, I think it is. She dehydrates into this weird goop stuff. And then they throw it on Greg. It dehydrates. And then they hear the lunch lady come in. And they go and hide. And she's freaking out. Oh, who did this? And to start putting totes on the table. And each tote they do pushes the leftover alien goop towards the end of the table, which goes into a bowl. Eventually, all 3 totes are pushed on there. The goop is pushed into a bowl. And the lunch lady says, well, better get working on tomorrow's nuggets. Which she just decides to pour the chicken into the bowl without looking to see if there's anything in the bowl. And then the seasoning or the breadcrumb stuff, whatever goes on the outside. And then starts mixing it together. And the punchline is aliens and the chicken nuggets. Yep. The 2 lines at the beginning. Oh, about dyeing his hair led into those allergic to redheads. And the other line about her famous chicken nuggets leads into the ending punchline that, they're going to eat the aliens because they're now in the chicken nuggets. And that's the last time we see the bullies in this, is where they're like, the chicken nuggets taste weird to you? Yeah, they got more flavor. And then our heroes find a piece of alien in the chicken nuggets, which it's sticking right out of the chicken nuggets. Why didn't they see it when they were given the nuggets? And why didn't the lunch lady notice? If the piece is just sticking out of the nugget like that, why didn't she notice? And again, it's dark, but she still should have checked the bowl first. I don't use any kind of bowl or anything before making sure that it's clean. I look in the bowl. Okay, use that one. That's my thing. I don't get. She's a lunch lady. She has a duty to make sure her stuff is clean so the students won't get sick. She should have looked in that bowl. I'm sorry. I know they don't put her out to be the best lunch lady, but come on. You wouldn't look in that bowl, and you wouldn't wash it out first. That bowl's been sitting there collecting dust for over the day. You just wipe it out with a washcloth or something first before you do it, right? Why would you? No, it irks me. But it's not a bad episode by any means. It's just, I may criticize some things in movies and TV shows. Doesn't mean I don't like them. Except for On Deadly Ground. That movie pissed me off. Confused me. But anyway, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You don't like my movie? I like this movie. Junk Grow, it did, On Deadly Ground. Steven, you're not in this review. Oh yeah, bye. Anyway, this episode was fine. It's decent. It's not like the best episode ever. I think that the dead body is probably still my favorite out of these. But I'm picking the ones that stand out to me, like my favorites and stuff. So this is why. Maybe I'll do a ranking afterwards. I don't know. I don't want to do every episode because that could take forever. Just the ones that stand out to me. But yeah, this was okay. So what are you guys' thoughts on this episode? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.